One. Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Today, I have the wonderful Reverend David William Parry with me, whose latest book, hopefully I'm saying this right, Mount Athos Within Me? Inside Me, which, thank you for joining me, David. I find that an incredible title. What's the title about? What's this new book all about?
Oh, you're starting with the easy ones. Oh gosh, I mean, I'm a gadabout. I get about, and I've always had lots of Russian friends. I don't want anyone shooting me down at the minute. Don't worry, I've got Ukrainian friends as well. Yeah, I've got lots of Russian friends. I've got a passion for Central Asia. I absolutely love Central Asia. You know, it's a land of minarets and magic carpets and genies. And I've probably said this story till everybody's sick in their teeth about it. But I've been in the actual road where the young Aladdin first turned to crime and a fist fight started where he was trying to take the lamp. So I've actually been, you know, yes, it's folklore, but you know, I've been to the road where it all happened. So hang on. I through friends, you know, everything in life happens through friends, doesn't it? If it's real. I got invited to a quite high-powered international conference called the World Public Forum Dialogue Between Civilizations. And my friend said, well, what do you want to speak about then? Because I've got I'm a bit of a clever dickie when it comes to British, you know, English lit. So I thought, I don't know, something about English literature. And he said, well, okay, what then? So I thought, right, Mount Athos in English literature, which is how it started. And I don't know, people took to that idea. You know, I went to three of them, one in Salzburg, one in, oh God, I can't remember the cities. So Austria, and there was Serbia, and there was somewhere else, I can't quite remember. My memory nowadays at this time of night, I'll have to look it up if you want to know the rest of the details. The one that sticks in my mind, was the meeting in Serbia, because I was on one of the round tables. So I was put, you know, sort of on the Mount Athos round table as this unique phenomena, this unique center of heavy spirituality in Europe. You know, no one can tell me, and I'm incredibly interested in Buddhism and Hinduism, but nobody can tell me those boys and girls have secrets we don't have. You know, we're very good at not seeing what's in front of us in this part of the world. And if you think that, then you don't know anything about Mount Athos. It has that depth. It has that knowledge. And so I was approached by a couple of shady looking Russians who said, have you ever thought about writing this as a book? I suppose, I mean, outside of this stuff, you know, I suppose my reputation is as a poet. So I said, well, no, quite frankly, I haven't thought of writing about it. And they said, well, look, I mean, we're willing to commission you if you want to do that. I mean, as push, you know, turned to shove, actually, it didn't work out with him in the end. But by that time, never trust publishers. But I'm sure everybody listening to this will know exactly what I mean. And bloody not foreign ones. And yes, I'm standing by that comment. So, and I'll tell you why, because it causes too many problems if it goes wrong. You know, in this country, you can turn up at somebody's office and start shouting. But if they're in the middle of the Crimea, which they were, you know, how on earth do you get there? So, you know, most of the artillery had been taken from me when it went wrong anyway. So it went wrong. But by that time, I'd sort of put so much down in my notes, in jottings here and there. I was telling you off here, I'm terrible at keeping jottings, unless they're to do with a book. Then they're sort of in this nice, neat pile. And I thought, well, it is unique. It is unique. There's something weird going on here. There's something Gnostic going on there. And it's unrepentant and it's continuous. And most of the churches don't like it. And sometimes they gang up, but they never suppress. Isn't that weird? And they never say you're going to stop doing it. I mean, lots of people would like them to stop doing what they call hesychastic prayer. That is Gnosticism. But they keep doing it, and, you know, century after century, they get supporters, they get interested parties like me. And so I thought, no, it needs nailing down. We need to keep this manuscript going. I approached a couple of English publishers, which thought it was about this. It was too far away. You're joking? It's just down the road a bit. You know, do you ever go to Greece? Do you ever go to Greece or Spain on holiday or something? What are you talking about? So anyway, it wasn't there. You know, it didn't float their boat. And I ended up finding an incredible Australian publisher, the incredible Gwendolyn Taunton of Manticore Press, who said, "Okay, let's give it a twirl and see what happens." And she was the one that actually said, "I noticed Swedenborg keeps coming up," and I said, "Well, I'm going to be honest, as I'll be with you and the viewers. You know, he's a man that intrigues me." What's the best way of seeing Swedenborg? You know, a naturalist that had visions, an established scientist. There was no bigger name in his time in the scientific community than Swedenborg, who then casually starts saying, like he had Dante round for lunch. You know, and you've got to start thinking, oh, if someone like that says it, there's something going on. It can't be dismissed. And of course, Immanuel Kant, the great philosopher, had a love-hate relation with the figure of Swedenborg. One minute he says he's filled 8 folios of nonsense, but then he's writing this strange essay called Diary of a Spirit Seer. So hang on, what's going on there? And Swedenborg is a unique shamanic figure for me, a unique shaman of the West. He spends 30 years cataloguing his journeys in the other world. But there's nothing like that. There's nothing so systematic. There's nothing for that length of time. And so at the back of my mind, somehow I'd managed to link what the monks were doing with these states of enlightenment. I mean, they would say beatitude. Yeah, come on, you mean enlightenment? You know, and they were beginning to say similar things sometimes. And I thought, oh, you know, let's try and weave all this together, because even the monks don't really have 30-year time scores, because most of them are either too old to have got into that rhythm, and most of the others don't write it down. You know, it's just an immediate experience. You know, they don't have the timesheets, as it were. So the subtitle eventually became Essays on Religion, Swedenborg and Arts. We deliberately left out the arts because there's no need to put that, because it was general arts. I mean, the book explores Mount Athos not only in English literature, which I think is new territory, and it's there. It's, the minute you look for it, it's everywhere. But until you look for it, you don't see it. You know, it's in theatre, it's in film, it's in music, it's in poetry. And the thought of a non-Byzantine but orthodox voice resounding like a bell in British scholarship, I mean, that just blew me away. And then it got to other things, like the fact originally this country was Orthodox. It wasn't Catholic, it was Orthodox. And the tradition of mysticism was brought here by the monks that brought orthodoxy here as one of the central points. And other weird things, you know, Debbie, weird things that lead to weird things that lead to weird things. Why did they choose to bring the mystical stream to this country and not other streams? Why not the pastoral stream? Why not the theology stream? Why not the doing good works and building a community stream? I mean, they all eventually came here, but from the beginning, they felt there was something unique here. You know, there was a Glastonbury presence, there was an Albion, there was something that they needed to record, like Swedenborg, and they needed to preserve. So it got to a stage where I thought, well, all this stuff, you know, it's swirling around in my head, so it needs to be put down. And I finished the book, and it went on to a bit of success from there. It's not lightweight. It wasn't designed to be. I can do lightweight. But you know, I didn't. Too many people are doing lightweight nowadays, and it sort of insults the intelligence of ordinary people. You know, like dare I have a go at the born again mob? Well, they're always having a go at me, so why not? You know, they write, you know, we know what we know and you don't know what we know. And we're going to explain it very simply, because who do you think you are? And I thought, no, I want to do this the other way around. I want to write this in a complicated way for people who might find it interesting and like making notes from books, the old-fashioned method. So that's really what it was about. It was about a spirit seer, a unique Western European spirit seer of an impeccable background. No one can floor Swedenborg about his background, his credentials, his scientific training, and the fact there's a sort of parallel stream to that. So he's an individual, but there's a place which is trying to actually cultivate those experiences in the monasteries, in the churches, in the chapels, in the temples of that place. So for me, it became sort of a wholeness. And I thought people might enjoy, odd links that they've never thought about before. Isn't that? That's about 20 minutes later. Shut up, David, for God's sake. Does that answer your question, Debbie?
That was brilliant. I have a few things to say from it as a reply. I think with Kant, he was probably one of those people that wanted to believe in more, but had to stay rational because it looked good with the people. And I find today that many people find it difficult to go a bit more deeper into spirituality because they don't want to perhaps look silly or perhaps be laughed at, which is why books like yours are important for those people that don't want just a lightweight look. They want something that will help them ponder on it more, look at it more deeply. So I think your book's brilliant to have that kind of thing because it's essays, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, because it was originally delivered as a series of talks, roundtables. So I'd say 4 of them. The one that didn't go down well was my essay entitled "Religion, What's the Point?" Yeah, but you can take it both ways. Right. So what do we mean? So maybe I should have done that differently, but I'm sorry, it was too much of a gag. I couldn't resist. So I turn up with this, and then I'm saying religion, what's the point? And I agree. I think Immanuel Kant, an incredible guy, and of course a Christian, a practicing Christian, who realizes after reading David Hume that you can't just churn out stock arguments, address what's going, something the church doesn't do now, address life around you, talk to people, learn from their experience. It's meant to be a two-way thing, not a one-way thing. And, I think he was certainly on the defensive towards the end of his life when the big guns, the big books were actually written. But I agree with you. I think he's one of those people that thinks, I know it's all there. I can sense it's all there, right at the back of my mind, but I'm frightened for it to go any further because it will interfere with too much, which of course is exactly what Swedenborg didn't want and didn't approve of. If it's there, let it come through. Let the two-way exchange take place.
What do you think about Swedenborg and his visions of the Christ and bringing forward a new church? Being a reverend yourself, does that disturb your own theology, or do you embrace it?
Like disturbed, I think. We did, as an aside, we've got a project going at the moment called Nephilim Anthropology Project, UK. We have to say UK, or the Americans think it's them. We beat you to it.
You've got a conference soon, haven't you?
It's a conference because it's a church fundraiser. I mean, as you can imagine, I'm a pastor with Metropolitan Community Church. I also have a sort of independent Catholic streak in me, but it's authorized by the gay church, by the church which started in America, which is an advocate and a social activist for LGBTQIA plus people. So I'm a pastor with the Christian community as they define it, and they authorize our church. So if I had a pound coin for the amount of times where people have said, what do you think of gay people? And you always want to say, I am. Yeah, but you can't because life is more complicated than that. So sometimes because you can't really say anything or think of saying anything. We were on Zohar, the big channel. What was it? Mystery channel? I can't remember. Because we started in April last year as a virtual idea. The basic idea started in, was it 2013, 2014, when everyone was going on about Nephilim giants and these grey boys and their flying saucers. And I thought, that sounds like a good idea. But, there's a long history there and it didn't work out then. And it was a couple of people, Dan primarily, who said, look, that's a good idea. Let's bring it back. And because of the lockdowns, we're a very tiny church. if we can't keep our doors open, a lot of very vulnerable and a lot of very beautiful people will be hurt and homeless. So I'm willing to do next to anything to keep the doors open, though I'm not sure the strip routine will suit me, but hey, give me some bookings. That was I nearly got you then. I'm not sure anyone wants to see this amount of flesh waving at them, I wouldn't worry. And yeah, so we put it on as a virtual event last April, and we got some good attendances. And people were genuinely interested for two reasons. We've got the religious angle. Now, I'm not just saying Christian, because what I wanted from the very beginning was a sort of interdisciplinary forum. So we've got Mog Morgan of Mandrake of Oxford, who, of course, is a practicing magician.
I love his books. I have quite a few of them.
He's an amazing guy. And, of course, a self-taught Egyptologist.
Yes, I have my Thoth here. I'm very into Thoth. Or Toph, as some people like to say.
Don't get him on this show and mention that. 15 hours later, would have got to his point. Oh, God, I hope he mustn't see this. But
He'll find it funny. He knows how to laugh.
No. Mog and I have always had a love-hate relationship. I love him and he hates me. He's a real authority. He's an old chum of mine. But I wanted different religions, so that was the first thing that people didn't expect. So not everyone's on the same panel all at once. We've got some Judaic input. We've got some Islamic input. We've already had some heathen input. Booking Wiccans is actually more difficult. That's herding cats, booking a Wiccan. But, I'm working at it.
I was about to say something quite like that. I love them all dearly, but they're very difficult to set down a time and date with.
If you say to them, look, this time in this place, if they say yes, it means maybe, but you can't do an event like that. But I'm working at that one. And the other thing is, I wanted people from different walks of life, from different skill sets, to say, this is what that means to me. So we've got Heather Arnold, our Lara Croft. She's an explorer. I mean, she's actually been to places where hardly anybody can get to. Not Easter Island, I imagine that's difficult. Aruba, where there are remnants, my God, of giant civilizations, whatever that means. The conference does not say what it means. We give different platforms to different people. We've got Leo Leon Zagami, who's very well one of the big guns on Alex Jones nowadays. Who wants to talk about cyber Satan. I'm not even sure what that means. But
my favourite subjects, actually. I'm pretty sure the dark forces are coming through the old cyber war and through the computers and through the internet. That's why we must fill it with light.
You have got to meet Leo. He just moved to Palm Springs, so we're trying to get him across next year, I think, because the next one this year will be the 29th of October at David Game College. But I don't think we're a growing conference, Debbie, and you can't do everything at once. So we'll probably get him across next year. We've got Hugh Newman of Megalithomania.
Yes,
we've got the incredible Maria Wheatley. Is she a relation or not? I haven't had the guts to ask her yet. So we've got her, we've got Johan Alstad, the young poet and comedian who lives in Trondheim. Trondheim, of course, in Norway, is where the Jotuns used to go rampaging when they got in a bad mood. All they needed was, it's the temperatures. I visited there in the cold. Just take a bit more, calm down. We've got the incredibly controversial Stead Stedman, because he knows a lot about Jotuns.
Oh, Stead, yes, love Stead. Known Stead for years. Me and Stead used to do an Egyptology class together, so...
Stead is a good friend of mine. He's a great chum. And I thought, if you've got one on Jotuns, you need two on Jotuns. And they don't agree on anything. Don't take this the wrong way, viewers, listeners. Get three heathens in a room and they're bound to disagree, right? So we needed more than one to balance everything out. Oh, God, I'm trying to think of who else we've got
I
now.
believe with Maria, when you was asking, he's her uncle. Or maybe her great...
Oh, really?
I think he's her uncle.
Yeah. I mean, anyone that thinks all he did was write about the occult doesn't know anything about Dennis Wheatley. I mean, really posh. I mean, I think he wrote more on wine tasting than he actually ever did on occultism.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh, God. Posh with a capital P. I wish I was in that tax bracket. So we've got Ra Castaldo. He looks.
I watched him on Leak Project. He's fantastic. Yeah.
Give you a comp ticket, Debbie. Come down. Book a place. Give you a comp ticket. So he's coming over from the States to tell us all where we've been going wrong. We've got Vladimir Wiedemann, another very good friend of mine. We called it Nephilim Anthropology for a reason. When in the early days, or mid days of the Iron Curtain, say mid-80s, something like that, to sort of early 90s, something at Moscow State University, and of course you don't get bigger credentials than that unless you're talking about Harvard or Oxford. They felt they broke scientific ranks. They felt there was something to giantism. And they then started saying, and this is, a highly reputable academic department, series of departments, that maybe human evolution wasn't what we thought it was. And you get very tiny people, you get very big people, you get people very unlike us, and it's all human. The first people to say that in the academic community. It never got to the West, and it's not always a conspiracy. For two reasons: the Iron Curtain was still up, so getting those scholars over here during that tense time was very, very difficult. And likewise, and they didn't want to share the artifacts, some of which were very rare, in case they went missing. So, fair enough. And Vladimir Wiedemann was a part of all that. So we've actually got, he's a very, very, very famous Estonian writer, a practicing mystic. He's right, Dennis Wheatley, the Secret Valley. That is Badrinath Valley in India, and Vladimir goes there to meet the holy men nearly every year. Some of them been practicing yoga and meditation for 50 to 60 years. If that doesn't make you a master, what does? So we've got him, so we've got Morgan and him as the two anchors. I'm looking it up now on the laptop. We've got the Reverend Wilhelmsen, who is... Right, it is possible to have chalk and cheese. He's a very good friend of mine. I don't think we agree on a thing. And he's even anti-gay, and he's still a friend of mine.
Oh, that's good.
There's a way of doing it. I disagree with that in principle. Yeah, okay, you're wrong. There we are. So we've got him coming across because he wrote this incredible book called Beyond Science Fiction, where he's looking at alternative history in a really radical way. He is convinced, if you look at biblical narrative, you look at the narration stories of the Near East, that you end up with a lot of evidence for actual physical giants. I'll be honest with you, Debbie, I don't know what I think about that, but I think it's interesting.
I'm for it, actually. I've been looking into that kind of thing for many years, and I believe that us Homo sapiens have been around for a lot longer than the academics like to say.
Oh, yeah, you do. How dare you use the word Homo? In front of man of the cloth. I was...
Men and women have been around for a lot longer than the academics say.
Oh, yeah, but I'm not even against them. I mean, I've had, I've managed to get 3 degrees somewhere or other. It's amazing how many arm locks you can get people into, and so I've hung around. I'm only saying that because I've hung around those halls for a long time. And most of them aren't against. Every major academic I've ever met has a weird story they're desperate to tell somebody.
Exactly. I know, but they want to do it hush hush.
They want to do it hush hush because they know that if they say anything, they won't get the funding for the normal stuff.
Yeah.
So, right, not speaking about America, I think actual suppression goes on there, but that's a different thing. I think if you're looking in this country, are we really still a nation of pleasant weirdos? I hope so. But
tricks.
Oh yeah, I mean, isn't that's nice and it's friendly? It's us. Right, let me have a quick look. We've got Rob Hall, who's he's in construction, I think, and he's a conspiracy boy. So he thinks everything is sort of being unleashed on us. I'm not good at tech. I don't know how I've lasted this long. It does
feel like everything's been unleashed. I kind of, even as a kid, I always thought I was going to be living in the end times. And it does feel like we're kind of in an end times. The cycle's changing.
Yeah, I think the scripture's really misunderstood. I wish more pagans would read the Bible because they get the gist much more easily than most Christians. You know, I mean, you're looking at the end of a cycle, maybe, you know, and nobody says that's it. I mean, in churches, you still recite every Sunday, world without end. So in other words, you don't think it's coming to an end. You think there's a renewal, you know, there's a rebirth. You know, even the word apocalypse, you know, in Greek, it implies destruction, which must give something new. And you don't get that in English, and there's nothing wrong with our beautiful language, but it doesn't have the same level of inferences and nuances that Greek does. And so if you're reading it in Greek, you get all this extra information. But if you're a British pagan, it's there because it's the way the pagan community thinks, it's the way it interacts with the environment. So I'm always moaning about there not being enough pagans reading the Bible. Who knows, maybe we'll get something going. That would be good.
I've been trying to encourage people to read the book of Revelation the last few years. I think it's, you know, quite apt to what's going on. And it helps people with their spiritual path, I think, if they can try and really go deep into it.
Yeah. You know, it's a treasure trove. I mean, the one thing that upsets me about the British scene, if there is such a thing, is that, you know, the people can't see these things as complementary. You know, it's not always an either or. It's not always we're right, you're wrong, or this story's more accurate or that story's less accurate. There was some guy on Gaia TV recently, can't remember his name offhand, I know him. Oh, yes, well, I better not say, sorry. And, you know, and if you look at the Sumerian tablets, don't you think it's more accurate? Well, yes and no. I mean, you know, so are you saying all the Jewish scribes that wrote that down were stupid? You know, they couldn't keep up the dictation or something? Are you saying that? Or are you saying they made the story Jewish? Now, there we are. That's interesting.
That's probably more, yeah.
Take on the same route. Maybe it's that. You know, so I hate all this either or stuff. United we stand, divided we fall. And I think we've all got a huge amount to learn from each other. You know, being in a church which grew from the charismatic movement, you know, MCC grew very proudly. And so what's the difference between saying Pentecostal, and they can go badly wrong, but what's the difference between saying Pentecostal and Christian spiritualism? I defy anybody to show me what the difference is. The minute you're in that territory, the doors are open, right? So where MCC is from that type of background, and we like dialoguing, we like other people's stories, we like narrative, we like exchange. And that's the hidden secret, ultimately, of this conference.
No, it's going to be brilliant. I'm signing up. I shall look it up.
You got a freebie. So, right, I've got the final definitive list now. We've got, do you know Michael York, Professor Michael York?
The name rings a bell, but I don't know if I'm thinking of the actor.
Oh, don't drag sex into this, young lady. We're talking seriously at the minute. Right, you must have met him. He used to hang around the Pagan Federation.
Oh, I do know who you mean now, yes.
Yeah, I mean, because of course, I mean, his PhD is in something like, what was it? The cultural aspect of astrology. Hey, that's a neat way of saying, the cultural astronomy.
Astronomy, yeah.
Of course, it's a neat way of saying astrology without getting into trouble. So, I mean, he's one of the people that will be visiting us and a core member of the panel. We've got Andrew Gough, of course, is the big researcher. I mean, the things he comes up with, my God.
I've forgotten his magazine, Forbidden. Anyway, yes, he's a great guy.
What was it? Something called Heretic or something as well?
That was it. Yes, it was. It was that one.
It's always being told off by everybody. So, my nickname at university was the Heretic. I'm really proud of that. So we've got Alan Cox, the healer, the psychic, Rob Hall, as I mentioned, Vladimir Wiedemann. We've got Reverend Jim Wilhelmsen, Stead Stedman, Ra Castaldo, our Heather. We've got Johan Alstad, Leo. We've got Kapil Gupta, only because he's good at defusing fights. Oh, God, I had to frog march a born-again Christian. We met again, our second, I used to go to Edinburgh. I mean, the other hat I wear is British theatre. So it was a time in Edinburgh where I had to be used to it. But I thought those days were past me now, I must admit. And she was so rude. So we had the online meeting in April. We had a hybrid meeting. The one good thing about these lockdowns is that it's convinced me hybrid meetings are wonderful. You can get people from the other side of the planet being there non-physically and joining in. It's a great idea. Mm-hmm. So we held our second meeting, our hybrid meeting at the Royal Asiatic Society. I have the honour of being an elected fellow because of the passion for Central Asia. I love Central Asia. And they felt the work I'd done there through the years merited that, so we hired some of their rooms. And am I old-fashioned, Debbie? I just think if you bought a ticket and you want to listen to speakers, you should let them speak.
Oh yes, absolutely. No heckling.
Heckling, interrupting, telling them they were wrong. Whoa. These are experts in their field, okay? So it started with me saying, would you mind keeping your questions either till the speaker has finished or during the breaks? I mean, we had a couple of breaks, tea and coffee breaks. They serve good victuals at the RAS. So, I made sure, I don't want a military operation. Everybody calms down, has a nice time, tea, coffee, water, juice, biscuits, sandwiches, that sort of thing. And she was chasing people around the room, telling them they were wrong. And it got to the end of the day where she was shouting people down. And other people are here too. This is really unacceptable. So I had to try and pretend there was security. British learned establishments don't have security. And then I had myself, look, love, we're leaving. And I remember from the old days, you have to put one hand on the elbow and another on the sort of the forearm. And I escorted her to the door. I thought, oh my God, what am I doing at my age? And but it was just like Edinburgh back in the day. So the reason we're not going back to the RAS this year isn't because they've got no security. It's because more people are showing interest than ever because they realise we've got the religion angle, we've got the interdisciplinary angle, writers, archaeologists, astrologers, mystics, pagans, theologists, Christians, Uncle Tom Cobley and all, and they're all giving their perspective on the giants of old. That for me is an exciting day out.
Brilliant, yes. And what date is it? October, did you say?
Yep. It's 2 days. We're having the hybrid event at David Game College, 9 till 9. Now I know that's heavy going, but some of the people, some people are coming over from America. We didn't want to, Jim's jetting in from Michigan, so we can't say, right, you're on for an hour, no, go. And there'll be loads. There's a lunchtime. There'll be coffee breaks. You can meet the speakers, so it won't be this military operation. As I say, I promise in any of my gigs that will never happen because I'd hate it.
Do you find sometimes, for example, with that lady, they're so passionate about it, but they've not quite got the idea of how to communicate yet, because it is like disturbing 2 years, isn't it?
You're passionate, and Jack Gale is passionate. I like passionate, but there's such a thing as decorum and such a thing as respect. She was giving Mog a hard time. I think he's writing something about giants and evil at the minute. I didn't have a chance to listen because I was too busy trying to block her voice out of the recording. But let the man speak. I don't even think he's got to say it. Let the man speak. So as I say, not why we're moving to David Game College, but because it's got 200 seats this year, and they've got all the facilities we need, including an inbuilt cafe. That's why we're moving there.
Oh yes,
but no, so you can leave the building, Debbie. There are lovely restaurants around. There are the takeouts. There's oh God, what is it? Greg's. There's if you're only looking for a quick snack, I've done it myself. Quick cup of coffee and one of their amazing vegan sausage rolls. If you're only looking for that, you've got that all the way up to the big chains, Starbucks and so on. You've got restaurants in the area, or you can stay in the college itself and have a sarnie, have a cucumber sarnie. Excuse me. So that's what we're doing this year. 29th.
How would people find out about it though? Oh, sorry, I was going to say the day. Where would they go if they were interested? Is there a website?
29th and 30th. The 30th will probably be held at my little church in Balham, which because we want a much more relaxed day and we want a real brunch with the speakers session for those that have still got the energy. Really, I want to build a community, not just a conference. I want us all learning together as we go along. Are these the end times? Is this the end? I mean, hey, with recent events, I think that's a legitimate question. So, let's have coffee together, let's have a glass of wine together and really go deeply. We've got some dancers in and some yoga people. I've got a secret rune yoga master to come in on the Sunday. We're doing some meditational practices. So the Sundays for the mystics. So you got the conference on the 29th October, the mystics and, general community stuff on the Sunday. Did you ever meet Steve Ash? Did you ever meet?
Yeah, I did a lot of recordings with Steve Ash. I have put them on my YouTube channel. Sadly, much missed.
Well, I've got to have another talk with you off air at some point. He was one of the original panelists. So I started last year the Steve Ash Memorial Lecture because I thought he was a real live wire.
Oh, for sure.
I'm going to make that a continuous feature. So this year I'll be giving the second Steve Ash Memorial Lecture. What a brain. What a brain. What a nice, decent guy. I mean, how often does all that fit together?
Exactly.
So you get on the Sunday, I'll be giving that as well. Maybe on the Saturday, the program isn't entirely finalized yet, but probably the Sunday, but much more relaxed. How do you find it? We're on social media. We've got a page, so you can get me anyway. We've got a page on Facebook, which I'm going to ask my dear companion to find now. We've got a page on Facebook. You can get us through LinkedIn. You can get us through Instagram. 63, and he knows about Instagram. Hey, we've got.
I don't do Instagram. I found your YouTube film about it.
Oh,
good. Yes.
Oh, I love that. With me looking mystical at the beginning. I love that. The Japanese figure directly after me isn't an accident. A lot of my academic work is about Japanese theatre. So that's why you get the mystical Japanese thing directly after me. Okay. And all the others are acting. I think it's a disgrace. But yeah. No, I mean, there's a trainer for this year's conference, and if you need to, we've got a small team. Which brings me back to Capel. I mean, his training is basically in counselling, and it's in relationship counselling. Very, very technical stuff nowadays. People forget how far that field has moved on. So if a bust-up starts, he's the best person I've ever come across to defuse a situation. And, get people talking again. Therefore, as the master, as the convener of a round table, that's the perfect guy. So we've got him to diffuse any bust-ups and keep communication going between our tiny team and me.
Oh, it's going to be brilliant. I encourage people to come along. I'm pretty sure you're probably going to say out pretty quickly anyway, because I think this subject's been getting bigger and bigger over the years. More and more people want to talk about this kind of thing. What are human origins? Or what was there with us?
Yeah, true human origins. I don't read anything malicious into British academia. You notice I said British academia. I don't think there's anything malicious taking place here. There's a lot of people who are underfunded and a lot of people whose passion never gets the chance to explore itself. I think that's the British situation. The Americans, I don't know what I think about all this Bible Belt stuff. I really don't. But I mean, one of the reasons the conference is catching on is we're offering a view of these materials which has nothing directly to do with the Bible Belt. So there's not a monopoly, of information. And I've noticed their conferences, and this is said with love and respect, tend to focus on the born again angle more than actually the evidence. So are you afraid the evidence is going to go in a wrong direction for you all? So from the beginning, I wanted facts, whatever that means in this setting, evidences, relics, to speak for themselves, and then we all sit down and we try and think, wow, none of us were expecting A, B, C, and D to all line up. It lines up. So where are we now? That's sort of what I want to do. And I think that's one of the reasons we're catching attention. As I say, we negotiated some of the footage from the April conference onto the Zohar Entertainment Group. It got over 305,000 views. We got over 8,000 likes. I can't remember, 8,000 likes. So it shows there's an audience. And I think the reason, you said it yourself, Debbie, don't speak down to us. We're all capable of making our own minds up. Let's get a good chinwag going and see how marvelous this world can actually be.
Exactly, that's perfectly put. I've noticed the time, David, so I was going to bring it to a close, if that's okay. So thank you very much for telling us about the conference.
I just monopolise things. I do apologise.
No.
Have me back on. Have me back on.
Well, no, that's what I'm going to say. I was about to say to you, we need to do this more regularly. But if people...
I'd be deeply honoured. I'd be deeply honoured.
Oh, you're always going to be welcome back on. If people are interested in your book, is it the usual places, or do you have a website for that?
Oh, I've got a website where I apparently, according to some, I openly and manically display my pagan tendencies. Yeah.
And why not?
And why not exactly? I've got a website where all the davidwilliamparry.com/books. As I was saying at the beginning, I suppose I'm better known as a poet. I mean, I've written 2 volumes of, for want of a much better description, theatrical Shakespearean poetry, with looking at the occultism, the esotericism in his case is a better word, within the poetry and the plays. So the first one is called Caliban's Redemption. The other one is called The Grammar of Witchcraft. If I had a £1 coin for every time that's been misunderstood, yeah, we'd be painting the town red tonight, believe you me. There's also, of course, Mount Athos Inside Me. They're all available through the website. They're available through, I can't remember the name because I've just had an older person's blank. It's Amazon. They're all on Amazon. If you want to get any of my articles or any of my short stories or essays, that's more difficult, but we're trying to get them all on the website. But the 3 main books are all available on Amazon.
Well, I'm going to put your website to the article anyway, when we put this all up, because this is going to be on Hermes Risen, but it'd be through my YouTube channel. But I wrote to give you a big thank you for this. This has been brilliant. I really enjoyed it. And we're definitely going to do more because we have so much we could talk about.
I am mere putty in your hands. Just as I say, give the old stiff bastard a couple of days' notice, and I'll make sure my joints are up to it.
Excellent. We should do more. And then there's my phone ring. I forgot to turn it off. How unprofessional of me. Right. I shall love you. I shall say thank you to everybody. If you just hold on, I'm just going to end the show and we can say our goodbyes. Thank you, everybody, for watching.